enormous now compared to then.
Mm-hmm.
There were 3 television signals in a marketplace, maybe 4. So we had, if you got a job at one of those places, you had everybody's attention.
Mm.
And jobs were numerous because all of these things were growing so fast. So I was able to see and be a part of the growth of the industry as it went from 4 television stations in a marketplace being able to see 133 channels and all of the opportunities that provided. So I was very lucky. But I did see a lot of changes that were both good and bad. You know, the growth of the industry meant that thousands of people like me who didn't have another real reason to exist aside from broadcasting, an opportunity to work. Mm-hmm. Performers of all kinds became journalists, weathermen. If you'll remember, Miss America and Bess Meyerson sold refrigerators, and then she became a part of the Today Show. I mean, I was a disc jockey, and I grew to be an anchorman. I saw all sorts of positions. The problem is now, I believe, is that we've gone way past the growth stage. We're into this stage where all of the media is retracting. It's contracting into what will be survivors and what won't be. And what's happening is there's an awful lot of junk around. It is very difficult to see the good content from the bad if you don't know where to look. And a lot of bad content is easily accepted by people. People will believe flat anything. And it wasn't like that when I was younger. You had to show proof for what you said and what you did as a journalist, or you weren't going to get a job. Now, just anybody can get out there and be controversial, not necessarily knowledgeable, but controversial, and they'll get work. I'm not so sure that's a good thing.
Mm. And I suppose the role of social media as well plays a role in that, where everybody thinks they're an expert.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of experience with that. I did have my last broadcasting gig. I did a show for a national public radio called Radio Green Earth. And in that responsibility, I did have a website, and I did do a blog there on the website. But still, my primary product was a 60-minute radio program. But that's as much of social media, that website and blog, as I've experienced. I don't take part in social media now, but I think that there's real danger there. And one of the reasons I don't take part in it is because there's so much junk. Mm-hmm. I believe people, when there were 3 networks, that's what you had to watch. And the responsibility of the networks in those days, those 3, was to give every side of a story. Now there are so many places to watch, and those rules about journalism have all been abolished. So nobody has to be objective. Nobody even has to be truthful. And I believe that is exacerbated by social media. So I'm not so happy about that whole situation as far as journalism is concerned. I think it's been cheap and terrible.
Now, I know that you're a guy who has boundless energy, and you moved on from that world of the media. And what are you doing these days?
I'm a chauffeur. Uh-huh. I drive. Yeah, uh-huh. I drive people. And I'm 72 now, soon to be 73. So the job market in broadcasting is a young man's field, and I totally understand that. And I was done with it about, retired 6 years ago. Mm-hmm. Right after I retired, I became a bartender. I went to bartending school at the age of 66. And I was definitely the oldest guy there, by the way. But it was great. I spent 3 years as a bartender. I had a ball. I learned an awful lot in the kitchen. I learned how to be a much better cook. And I did that for a few years. But as I said, I'm as old as the hill. So now I can't stand behind a bar, or I'd still be doing that, because you interact with people. It's a little kind of a performing thing. It was a lot of fun. But now I'm driving people, and I regale them with the conversation wherever we're going. I specialize in taking people on long trips to the airport, to Disney World, to cruise ships. I do a lot of tourists, and I'm an on-call chauffeur.
Fantastic. Well, and I think actually both of those roles, bartending and driving, like you've already said, you regale people with tales, and you're also a good listener. So if people actually want to contact you to have a cool ride with a cool guy, how might they do that?
Yeah, they can certainly contact me. I'm in Craigslist. Maybe I should put it that way. Which, by the way, is a tremendous piece of internet advertising. I spend $5 a week in Craigslist, and I get all sorts of business from it. I highly recommend Craigslist. So there you go.
Really? Okay. So they under what would they look for you in Craigslist?
Now let's see. I believe that's in South Florida, and it services vacation and transportation, I think it's called.
Okay. And then by which name would they find you?
They'd find me under Town and Country Car Service. Because I have a nice golden Town and Country van. Okay. And so that's how you can find me, Town and Country Car Service.
Right. And do you go by Jim Jackson Minard? Jim Minard?
I in my guise as a chauffeur, I am James the driver.
James the driver. There you go.
Yes, because then people can say to me, "Home, James," and I take them home.
You see, you are following your gut instincts and your intuition as to what you need to do next. So, in the last couple minutes we have here, Jim, so what would you, kind of wrapping up, you've thrown us a couple of really sweet golden nuggets of lessons learned along the way. Any advice you might give to up-and-comers on the career path, youngsters or other people in transition?
I was not smart. I did not follow my instinct. It took me several years to follow my instincts. And that's the biggest thing that I can recommend is if something catches your eye, regardless what it is, let it catch your eye. Let it take you away, because you may find a whole future there. And you never can tell what it might be. You have no idea what it might be. I still had plans for the future. I'm 72, and I'd like to become a wildlife photographer. I also like to help animals. And I probably will do that. But I'm just not ready to start totally volunteering. I still like working for a living and getting paid. I don't know why. It's a crazy American thing.
Right.
But I totally believe that people don't follow their instincts enough, and then they end up unhappy.
Yeah. Okay. That's awesome. That's awesome. And going back here then to this wildlife photography and helping animals, does that involve travel, or are you talking about endangered species or local here in Florida?
The biggest thing that I enjoyed the last 5 years when I was working for National Public Radio was getting out into Florida. I was everywhere in all of the national and state parks to do stories with the conservationists and to talk about the issues there. And I was in great awe of the people that I met. The panther scientists that are over in the National Panther Refuge, for example. I would love to go over there and put volunteer hours in for them. And it's doing simple, physical labor, doing a little clearing in some of the game paths. They have cameras out there in the middle of the jungle, and they record the panthers as they walk by in the middle of the night. It's terribly exciting stuff that they do. But there are rangers there who have been working to save these panthers. I've talked to I interviewed a guy who had been working there for 17 years, and he has never seen a panther live in the woods. Never. Now, he has seen them when they were spotted, and they're spotted by the game cameras, and then they'll close in on the panther, and they will sedate it, and they will check it, make sure it's okay, make sure the tag is okay, because most all of the panthers are identified. But to walk up to one in the woods, that has never happened. Now, what kind of dedication does it take for someone to spend 17 years saving an animal he's never seen?
Absolutely. Well, I know they're not endangered for nothing, I suppose, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and I think those kind of people are special, and I'd like to work with them again someday.
Fabulous. Well, Jim, I have to tell you, people would like to work with you too. You're a joy to be around, a blast to have at a dinner party, and I'm sure would make a great ride to a theme park or an airport. So remember to contact James, the driver, at Town and Country Car Service on Craigslist under South Florida Vacation Travel Services. Thank you so much for playing with us today and letting me grill you a little bit. And I want to thank our listeners on the show this week as well, and hope you gain some new insights, tools, maybe some strategies from James' Golden Nuggets. So you can find podcasts of past shows also on the SOBRadionetwork.com, and also check out my website, GameChangerThinking.com. So thank you, James the driver, Jim Jackson Minard, and I look forward to speaking with you another time soon.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And thank you to our audience. And just a little reminder that the life you live is the legacy you leave. Bye-bye now.